Come join me on another adventure.
All right, let's get into it. Today, we are digging into the incredible, almost totally forgotten origin story of Florida tourism. Seriously, forget everything you think you know, because we're going way, way back, long before the theme parks, the roller coasters, and all those interstate highways. So let me ask you a question. When you picture a Florida vacation today, what pops into your head? You know, sunny beaches, giant theme parks, a spiderweb of highways connecting everything? Well, for the very first wave of American tourists, the whole experience was something else entirely. So how did it all even start? You know, the answer wasn't the roar of a locomotive or the hum of a car engine. Nope, it was the rhythmic churn of a paddle wheel. The very first real interstate into the heart of Florida wasn't made of steel or asphalt. It was the winding, mysterious path of a river. So how did this all actually work? Let's just imagine for a second you're a traveler back in, say, the 1870s. You're trying to escape a brutal northern winter. How in the world do you get into this wild, subtropical paradise? Well, it all kicked off with a surprisingly clever system. They called it the gateway system, and it was brilliant in its simplicity. Just think of Jacksonville as the grand central station of its time. You'd sail in from the north on a big ocean steamer, and then you'd transfer to a much smaller, nimbler riverboat, the perfect kind of vessel for plunging deep into Florida's wild interior. So let's walk through your trip. First up, you arrive in the bustling port of Jacksonville. Step 2, you hop on a shallow draft riverboat, a totally different kind of machine from the ocean liner you just got off of. And then you cast off, heading south on the St. Johns River, leaving what you knew a civilization far behind for a real adventure. And right here, this is where the journey goes from being just a trip to becoming a legendary experience. This wasn't some theme park ride. This was the original, real-deal Jungle Cruise. I mean, the marketing was just genius. Just listen to these words they used to lure people away from their cold gray winters. Exotic, wild, and otherworldly. This wasn't just about catching some rays. It was about being teleported to a completely different reality, a place that honestly felt like the edge of the known world. The journey itself was this incredible tale of two rivers. You'd start out on the St. Johns, which was wide, open, and breezy. But then you'd make a sharp turn onto its tributary, the Ocklawaha River. And just like that, everything changed. The river became this narrow, twisting corridor, completely covered by a dark, mossy canopy. It was intimate. It was mysterious and, yeah, probably a little bit spooky. And that sudden shift from that wide open river into this dark jungle tunnel, that's exactly why this trip became so famous. Remember, this is an era before movies or TV. An immersive, thrilling experience like this was unlike anything else. It became one of the most talked about adventures in the entire country, the absolute must-do trip of the 1870s. Of course, you couldn't take just any old boat down a river like the Ocklawaha. They had to be custom-built for the job. They had these shallow drafts so they wouldn't get stuck on the river bottom. And get this, they had reinforced cabins so they could literally just plow right through the overhanging branches. The boats themselves, with these amazing names like the Okie Humpkey and the Alligator, were a huge part of the attraction. All right, so the journey itself was epic, but every great adventure needs an incredible destination, right? Well, this one had it, and it attracted some of the most famous people of the 19th century. After navigating that dark, winding jungle of the Ocklawaha, the grand finale was arriving at the absolutely breathtaking Silver Springs. Can you imagine? You emerge from under that dark canopy into the bright Florida sun, and you look down into some of the most crystal clear water on the entire planet. It was the ultimate payoff. And this trip attracted the A-listers of the day. We're talking huge names like the famous author Harriet Beecher Stowe, President Ulysses S. Grant, and even the inventor Thomas Edison. And when people like that made the journey, it wasn't just a vacation anymore. It was a full-blown cultural event. Their trips created this incredible buzz, cementing the river trail as the ultimate prestige destination. And it's so important to realize this was about way more than just sightseeing. This river highway literally built towns. Places that had been just tiny, remote landings on a map, like Palatka and Palatka, they just exploded into these bustling hubs. Hotels, stores, whole communities just sprang up, all of them fueled by the constant stream of steamboats and tourist cash. But, things change. The amazing technology that built the steamboat kingdom would soon be eclipsed by something newer, faster, and way more direct, the iron horse. And this timeline just shows how shockingly fast it all happened. The 1870s were the absolute peak. But then, in 1881, the railroad gets to Ocala. And suddenly, why would you take a slow, winding, multi-day boat trip when you could get there in just a few hours? By the end of that decade, the steamboat's reign was pretty much over. But here's the most important thing to take away from all this. Even though the steamboat era was really pretty brief, its legacy is massive. It's what first planted the whole idea of Florida in the American imagination, this exotic, beautiful, adventurous place. It really did lay the foundation for everything that was to come. And that really leaves us with a final thought, doesn't it? It just makes you wonder, what other forgotten highways and lost journeys are out there, hiding in our own history? It kind of proves that sometimes the way we get there is just as transformative as the destination itself.